One of Europe's most popular so-called golden visas has been closed with immediate effect. I'm going to give you the details on the closure of the UK investor visa. Hi, I'm Andrew Henderson. This is Nomad Capitalist, where we help 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs and investors legally go where you're treated best. And it has been 7, 8, 9, 10-figure entrepreneurs and investors who for about a dozen or so years have moved their families, moved their capital to the UK, where for £2 million and up in investment in the country, they could get what's called an investor visa, formerly known as the Tier 1 visa. That program has recently been closed as a result of the ongoing tensions between Russia and Ukraine. I'll explain in a minute. But I want to share an article explaining the closure of this program from a website called moneycontrol.com, which I believe explains exactly why you need to take action. If you are a successful person, you need to get your residence permits, you need to get your citizenships now. Do not be one of these Americans, these Westerners that thinks everything's always going to be available. If anything you've learned in the last couple of years, going to your supermarket and seeing empty shelves, I would hope it's that things are not always available, because these programs are not going to be around. I'm going to talk about it during this episode. But if you want a certain residence or citizenship, if you want to have options, you want to get those going before they close the doors. Here's the headline from Money Control. Why the UK closed its Tier 1 investor visa route, so they don't even have the right name, and what happens now. And then they go on to talk about a particular Indian gentleman who I'm not familiar with, but they say they're going to build up like why he's the reason this shouldn't exist. And I'll talk about that here. Britain's popular Tier 1 investor visa, unofficially known as the Golden Visa by the media, named after Portugal and Spain would have been first, has become the latest casualty of the Russia-Ukraine tension. On February 17th, Home Secretary Priti Patel announced the closure of the investor visa with immediate effect. Again, they can't even get the name of the visa correct. Okay, they can't even get it's a residence permit, it's the investor visa, so already suspect. For several years, activists and politicians have criticized its lax regime that enabled dodgy millionaires, especially Russians and Chinese, to buy their way into getting UK citizenship. Now, you know, I've spent a lot of time in Russia. I have in China. I know and work with a number of people from Russia and Eastern Europe. You know what? There are plenty of people in China and Russia who don't agree with the politics of their country, who are just normal, hardworking citizens who want a better opportunity for their family. And so the idea of, dodgy Chinese and Russians, they're the villains in the TV show. This is a political game, and it's being used to basically shut people out. Listen, no country has to accept anybody, but I think what the UK should realize, along with other countries, is we don't live in 1822 anymore. There's no more British Empire. The Cold War is over. There are dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of countries for entrepreneurs and investors like myself, perhaps like you, to go to. We do not have to go to places where they do not want or value our capital and where they come up with political arguments. Yes, Russians accounted for about 1 in 6 UK investor visas. And so because of that, they wanted to close the program. They wanted to make a political statement, is my understanding. And so you would think, number one of the most sophisticated countries with one of the most sophisticated financial systems in the world could decipher who are the good people and who are the bad people. They make lists of this stuff. They have sanctions lists. They have, ways of determining who's good and who's bad. And you would think that they wouldn't want to throw out the 5 out of 6 people who weren't Russian, on top of potentially some normal Russians who wanted to come. Yes, there are some Russians who have been suspect to what their wealth orders, where they try to figure out, how did you earn this money? But that's not all of them. And so let's review this. The politicians have criticized this lax regime that enabled dodgy millionaires. So any millionaire who wants to move to the UK, where the taxes are rather high, where compliance is high, where regulations are high, where things are much more transparent than they are in Russia and China. Those are the dodgy millionaires? Really? Maybe the dodgy millionaires don't want to go to some of the most transparent countries, at least for the average person. Not transparent if you're having parties at 10 Downing Street when you're not supposed to be, but you would think that those dodgy millionaires wouldn't want to go there. But of course, The Guardian, and I guess this website as well, they hate millionaires. They hate successful people. They assume, as does Elizabeth Warren, we've talked about this, everything Elizabeth Warren puts out is, you are dodgy because you're a millionaire. The fact that you have money, perhaps hard-earned, perhaps self-made, that makes you dodgy by definition. And so then they say, we don't want you to buy your way into getting UK citizenship. I want the media to get this straight. The U.S. does not have citizenship by investment. You cannot buy U.S. citizenship. Neither can you buy U.K. citizenship. What you can do in the U.S. through programs like EB-5 is get a green card. And then you can go and live there. You can pay taxes. You can report your worldwide assets, report your bank accounts, report everything, be regulated, deal with all the stuff, barely leave the country because you're on a green card. You can't just come and go whenever. You have to stay there. Okay? And then you can work towards citizenship on the same timeline as anyone else. There is no jumping the line other than you made an investment and you get to get your green card potentially faster than others. But once you're on the same footing as everyone else. And the same thing is true in the UK with a caveat, which I'll mention in a minute. There is no, hey, here's £2 million, give me my UK passport. You've got to move to the UK. Now, the UK does have a more favorable tax regime for foreigners that you can take advantage of. It requires a lot of planning, more so than other countries with similar regimes. But you can go and you can potentially, at least for the time to get citizenship, you can potentially benefit from some tax incentives. But you've got to live there. You've got to live there for the vast majority of the year. If you don't speak English, you have to learn English. You have to follow all the steps. And so there is no just selling of UK passports. Yes, there are other countries in the world. Caribbean countries have citizenship by investment. Malta has its exceptional investor program, which takes longer. It takes about 18 months. You can get a citizenship. You don't really need to move there other than for a short period of time. But the UK is different. And so understand, if you want some of these options, these people are going to make it all more difficult. The scheme was introduced in 2008 in the wake of the global financial crisis, and since then over 13,000 Tier 1, again, investor visas have been issued. A minimum investment of £2 million was required to make the application, which after 5 years would lead to permanent residence, also known as ILR. Or 3 years if the investment was £5 million, 2 years if it went up to £10 million. So you did get to jump the line a little bit in terms of getting to that ILR or permanent resident status if you put in £10 million. Now, to me, again, you would think the UK would be able to figure out, hey, this money's clean, this money's not clean. Bring us the clean money, don't bring us the dirty money. Hey, you got £10 million? I mean, how many people in the UK are investing £10 million in the UK with all the jobs that creates, with the effect that has? You don't want that money. They don't want £10 million. In an exchange, after 2 years of actually living there, someone can have the ability to continue living there and have the privilege of paying British taxes and having the privilege of, again, if you're investing £10 million, don't you think, you're probably not going to McDonald's for dinner, right? You're probably not like eating roast beef sandwiches, huddling over a sewer grate. You're probably putting some money into the economy in that time, that vast majority of every year that you are staying in the UK. So what's the problem if you can decipher the good from the bad, unless you want to make a political statement? And so, yes, they say there are other countries in Europe that have their own versions of golden visas. In the case of the UK, right from the introduction, it seemed Russian and Chinese nationals were far more disproportionately interested than other nationals in sinking their millions in order to establish homes and townhouses and mansions in London. Yes, now we get to the point. These people hate that you have a mansion or a townhouse or anything else that are the trappings of wealth. How dare you earn money? Now, are there people in China and other countries who did not earn their money or earned it through corrupt means? Absolutely. That said, guess what? If you're an American, who was one of the larger groups in this investor visa, if you are a Canadian who's seeing what's happening there and you're like, oh my goodness, I want a place that's similar, that's more tax friendly, but it's not too culturally different, please let me in, you're also out. And as we know, about 9 out of 10 millionaires in North America are self-made. I know that you're not allowed to use that term anymore because nobody's self-made anymore. We're all, we all went to the same public schools and, some of us managed to become multimillionaires and others didn't. And so, it's all Hong Kong, India, Kazakhstan, Pakistan, Turkey, and Saudi Arabia also applied in large numbers. Don't you hate it? Don't you? I mean, you know what I really hate in my life? When people come and they're like, listen, I want to give you £5 million. I mean, nothing pisses me off more, quite frankly, than the people coming, the Chinese, the Russians, they can't stop bringing money. God, leave me alone with your £5 million. I don't want your £5 million. How dare they, according to these people? Guys, the world has become competitive. And so, yes, people maybe want to come and live in your country. I would suggest there are perhaps more open countries. I mean, even go to Ireland next door. They're a lot more open. And I would suggest more people go and take part in their program than the UK. But hey, I have nothing against the UK. What I have against is people in their media who want to make this out to be a problem. And so the article goes on and on and on. Rich people bad, blah, 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 blah. The Russian and Chinese influence over Westminster. So the UK made a political statement. Your option is now immediately closed. The deal with the UK investor visa was actually not terrible because you could invest in British stocks, you could invest in various things. You couldn't take out any profits if your account went above, and you didn't have to top it up if it went down below. So it was a nice way to park £2 million, and you could either have the option of living there, or you could actually live there and work towards this permanent residence, work towards this citizenship. There was no such thing as you never go there, you just keep it in your back pocket, and one day you're a British citizen. Never worked. So one less option on the board. Now, ways that you can live in the UK if that's your goal. They have shut down some of the options. Certainly if you have a British parent, you can look at British citizenship by descent. You can also obtain Irish citizenship by descent, and then through a pre-EU agreement, you can use your Irish citizenship to live in the UK. You can also become an Irish citizen by living in Ireland for a number of years through one of their programs, such as the IIP investor program that they continue. And I do believe they will continue that, but we'll see. I mean, certainly this is a big resounding move by the UK. But if you are an Irish citizen by descent or by naturalization, you could then go and live in the UK. There are ways to start a business in the UK, and you could go and live there, but those are going to require you to start to create jobs and do other things. Probably cost you less than £2 million to start that, but the challenge with countries like the UK and others in recent years is they really want businesses that are endorsed by incubators, for example. So I could take Nomad Capitalist and say, hey, I have this business, we make all this money every year. We're going to move our company, our corporation, to a limited company in the UK. We're going to pay millions in taxes. And maybe that's interesting to them. Maybe it's not, because we're not really like a company that's going to grow 10,000% year over year. We're not a company that's going to become the next Facebook or the next big biotech company. And they're really being very particular. Hey, that's their right to do. I'm not here to criticize. What I am here to criticize is, again, the people in the world that think that because you became successful, you don't have options. So there's the news. You shouldn't have options. The UK investor visa off the table. It was an interesting option for some. Obviously, perhaps less interesting with the removal of EU citizenship, although for others I think that made it maybe more interesting. That option's gone. Not really so many great options to get into the UK. Plenty of other options in Europe, whether it's Ireland, Portugal. Italy's program is more affordable now. Greece's program, one of the most affordable. Latvia, little talked about. Cyprus, Malta has a residence program and a citizenship offering. Spain has a program that I'm not a fan of. Luxembourg, even. I mean, so many countries in Europe, if you want to invest, you can go there. Andorra. Even France has a program if you bring someone. I mean, France has a program. Now, not very tax-friendly program, but lots of options in Europe. But for now, the UK is off the table. Don't stop now. We've got well over 1,000 more videos here on YouTube for you to watch and learn how to go where you're treated best. And if you want to work with Nomad Capitalist personally, go to nomadcapitalist.com/apply, learn about our unique, tried and true process, garnered over years of experience, and learn how you can become our client.